a statement series over the Mets and a must-win for the NL East. And we're back here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Welcome to the PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365, where it is never ordinary to bet. You can download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And it was
wait. Have you always had a microphone, or am I tripping on mescaline?
You're tripping.
Is that new?
No, it's been here. Tyler, do you recognize my microphone?
Yes, and I didn't realize that we were on a drug trip at 64 seconds into the show.
Oh, I dropped the girls off at school, and I've been tripping balls since 9:01 a.m., Tyler. But I don't recall ever seeing the mic before.
That's because you're not a baseball guy, Jamie.
I guess not. Yeah, that's my problem.
You're not a baseball guy. No
right,
fun.
That's enough.
All right, so that being said, we've got a lot to get into, including figuring out what's going on with Jamie's brain this morning on this Monday fun day. We are talking about the series that the Phillies were able to take over the Mets this weekend.
I had a great time.
We're going to get into the playoff predictions and picture, I should say, because the magic number for the NL East is 5. And we've got to preview the series for the Brewers series coming up. Plus, some rumors, guys. Juan Soto, we're looking at you. All right.
No, it's not even a rumor, Renee. It's fact. We'll get into that fact later.
It's not a rumor until it's like confirmed.
It's not a rumor if you believe it.
Okay, that's fair. But we'll get there. We'll get there. First things first, guys. This weekend that was great weekend. I know Chris Lemmer in the chat is already talking buddy. Great series, looking good. Everyone's healthy. Huge series for the Phillies after dropping game 1. We had our post-game show Friday night. Thanks for those that hung with us Friday night for a very frustrating post-game show. But we don't even remember that now because when the Phillies came out, they won Saturday. We got the Bryce Harper pair of home runs to break his streak back to August 9th. Sunday, it was Cristopher Sanchez, 7 strikeouts on the day, as well as big performances by Cal Stevenson this weekend. Buddy Kennedy, the list goes on and on. It ended up being a good weekend for the Phillies.
Ended up being a great weekend for the Phillies. Cal Stevenson and Buddy Kennedy, that's a weekend they'll remember for the rest of their lives. Really cool stuff because it was a huge week. I mean, the Mets are fighting for their lives. The Braves and Dodgers are facing off against each other. The Brewers almost got a sweep on the road. So there was a lot in play for the seeding, which is now the most important thing. The thing about the magic number is that's just for the division, and it would be their first division, pennant since 2011. Very cool stuff. Celebrate it, enjoy it. But that's not the goal here. The goal is to get the 1 seed and to have every game come through Citizens Bank Park that is possible. So the magic number is I'm like, okay, yeah, I already assume that the NL East is 1. It's more about the 1 seed and the 2 seed, and now you got the Brewers. And it was just an incredibly awesome weekend. I got to razz every single Mets fan I know, which is always enjoyable because they really LOL Mets'd it up.
Oh, yes, they did. They definitely did. And that's the beauty of it. Tyler, I felt like you were about to jump in. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think if we would have been able to look back with hindsight after Friday night and how poorly Friday night went, Aaron Nola was bad. The offense was lifeless. Quintana basically did whatever he wanted with the baseball for 7 really good innings. You get a cheap, I shouldn't say cheap, no home runs, not unless you play Yankee Stadium, no home runs cheap. But you get this kind of like consolation 3-run home run for Brandon Marsh, but it really didn't mean anything at that point. It was just one of those games. So if you were to tell me 48 hours after that not only were they going to win this series, but in the fashion in which they did win the series, you go down 4-0 to the Mets in game 2. And, we talked about it. The Colby Allard start was worrisome because how well the Mets have played over the last couple of months. You go down 4 games, or you go down 4-0 in the game, you're chipping away, you come back. It's the Cal Stevenson game. You win game 2. And then to win yesterday the way that you did on the walk-off, where Cristopher Sanchez pitched exceptionally well. So did David Peterson. It was a really fun, October-style baseball, pitchers duel on both sides where guys, but they were just matching zeros with each other. So to come out of that 48 hours after how we saw Friday night, to come out of this was a series victory. To come out of this Another game in hand on the Mets to get the magic number in the division down to 5. Your sights are now set even, and they always should have been set even further to win, not just the division, but to get at least the 2 seed. Your sights are now even, continuing to progress to a 2 seed, to a 1 seed, as you continue to just chop off that magic number further and further.
Renee, exactly. I just want to share this because it's on the point that Tyler just made. This is from Rich's morning newsletter. The odds to win the division are now at 99.9% according to Fangraphs, and the race for that bye, which Tyler just alluded to as being the real goal, 97% chance right now. So they help themselves out big time.
And the key is, there are steps. Of course, the NL East is one that, when we look back at the start of the season, there was never a point where we were thinking of them squandering the chance to win the NL East. If they did, that was going to be very bad. But it still is check one other thing off the list, be able to finally bring back the pennant and be able to win the NL East for the first time since 2011. And then the bigger goal is definitely that first round bye. You want to get home games. You want to get the first round bye. You want to be top of the NL. And they are just 11 games away from that. So the magic numbers, as we're keeping an eye on, they are dwindling. They're getting lower and lower. And I love the fact that with that, we're also getting the increase, as Bryce Harper was mentioning this weekend, of the fact that we're getting more of a playoff atmosphere. That is picking up for the Phillies, the fans, the team. You can feel it. And so overall, this team is clicking. And it's not, as we keep talking about, you have different guys, especially the youngsters, that are stepping up. And I know for Cal Stevenson specifically, Buddy Kennedy, they're having these incredible memories that they will always take with them of being able to help the Phillies win games. Big catch to rob a home run. You're getting go-ahead runs, RBIs, like you're contributing. And so to start at the top, offensively, this team is getting there. It's so exciting to see that Bryce Harper finally broke the streak. I saw that Aaron Judge was in the longest streak of his career, homerless, for 16 straight games and broke it this weekend as well. And then I remember I was like, all right, Bryce, you're next. It's your turn now. And
yeah,
then
it was
Bryce
the second.
Harper
did you just say it was the second longest of his career?
No, it was the longest of Aaron Judge's career.
No, of Bryce's career. It was
yeah, and then second longest. Yeah. Exactly. I
thought it was the longest.
I know. And so for Bryce
forever.
Harper to have a chance to break that streak dating back to August 9th, get not 1, but 2 home runs feels so good. And now you have a chance to kind of take the pressure off. I think this weekend, in addition to it being a statement series, to be able to beat the Mets, you have to face, you knew you had 7 games against them in the final 16. It's also a statement series of pressure's off. The little things that we've been keeping an eye on. Bryce Harper, great at bats, still not that home run. Okay, he's giving now we've got the home runs to add to his great at bats. His numbers, as we've talked about, guys, have been remarkable. So yeah, second longest homerless drought of his career. It is 127 plate appearances. He did have a 166 homerless streak last year of plate appearances. Bryce had been, as we talked about, he has been barreling fewer balls, hitting more ground balls since he last hit that home run on August 9th. So we have been looking at the numbers have been good. The at-bats have been there. He came into Friday with a .99 OPS since August 23rd, with a 6.6% of balls in play since then that he's barreled. And he was moving in the right direction. And that was kind of like the icing on the cake. Finally, you get a chance to get that off your chest. I don't know about you guys, but when it happened, I was like, finally. So it was just great, just like that, guys, just like that. So it's great.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar reaction. It was like, all right, he's busted through the floodgates, and then to get the second one, it confirmed that, he's back. And
Jamie,
look,
did you do it in that octave?
It was kind of similar,
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, it wasn't too far off. But look, they weren't going to win a World Series. Bryce was killing it, but you need that power. I mean, home runs can change postseasons. Look at Matt Stairs. Look at Joe Blanton. So Bryce needed to get his power back. So you feel good about that. Schwarber, and Turner, you feel good about getting Bohm back is huge. He goes 1 for 5. Just good to see him back. And then JT, gets a little oppo poke into the gap that wins the game. And quick shout out to Nick Castellanos.
Oh.
Dude, what a stolen base. I mean, you went out there and won the Phillies the game. Nick Castellanos is killing it this year.
It's funny you say that because I was watching the game with a buddy yesterday, and as soon as he reached as soon as he got on base in the bottom of the ninth, my immediate thought was get Bryson Stott on the bases, because I was looking for a stolen bag, right? Especially against a closer of the caliber of Edwin Diaz, right? He's got great stuff, throws hard, he's difficult to hit. You want to be able to put yourself in a position to score a run
the game with a single,
right? To score a run on a base hit. So my thought immediately, as soon and maybe my next thought was, okay, maybe they make a move if it's a runner on if he gets to second. I would have never anticipated Castellanos being the one to steal a bag there.
No,
that's why to me it was such an extra incentive for this team to win it right there, because you get a guy, and not like he's slow, but he's not fleet of foot.
No.
You get a guy who was willing to take the extra base because he got a really good jump on Diaz. I don't think Diaz took a look at him, to be quite honest with you, but he got a really good jump on Diaz, put himself in a scoring position, and then a base hit, what turns in what would have been a double in a regular situation, wins the game, right? And it easily wins the game. You're not trying to round third and score on a relay throw to home and hoping that it's not you're hoping that it's not a good throw, hoping you got a good jump. Instead, it became a routine, score on a base hit type of situation.
Yeah, and it was great to see because, as you guys mentioned, we got in that moment. It felt like if someone can get to second, they can win this game. Of course, a home run could have won it too, but you felt confidence that it can be this next at bat. As soon as he got to second, I was like, all right, JT's winning this. And JT's been another guy, as we keep an eye on, who's rounding the bases, so to speak, who's getting better, who's turning that corner. JT's been another one of those guys that we've been keeping an eye on. Obviously, he dealt with a couple of injuries this season, most recently that knee, and it was huge, I think, for him. Big smile, big excitement. Like we talked about, every guy recently has had a chance to help them win games. And that does so much for that confidence, even when you're taking, game by game, and you have that moment that you can point out of, I helped us win the game on this day. Now, when you step up to bat, when you're at the plate, you're not going to feel as desperate. You're not going to be chasing as many pitches. You're going to feel a lot more composed. And I think that for JT Realmuto in that moment, it was so needed. I mean, he's been okay this season. He was great in the start of the season. Of course, in the injuries that hit, he's got 42 RBIs, 12 home runs, a 2.67, 3.21, 4.23 split. And it was just such a needed boost. And by no surprise, it's Nick Castellanos that sets that up. As we talked about, the MVP of this team, Nick Castellanos continues to just find ways to elevate.
Probably Alec Bohm.
They're both in the same conversation. Yeah. But they both are finding ways. Right now, it's been Nick because Bohm's been working back. It's been Nick elevating his teammates to help them find ways to make big plays. So you get Alec Bohm back, which was huge on Saturday to see him back in the lineup. And now you get a couple, you get some games for him to be able to work himself back in. It's like all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together. And I know J Flo, Chris Lemmer, K Red, as you guys talking about,
J Flo, my Diamondbacks.
J Flo is back, guys, from Arizona, because we are keeping a watch on the rest of not only the NL East, but we're looking around the NL in general. Diamondbacks, we're looking at you too. And we'll talk through what's the current playoff picture is later. But these are those games now where not only do you want them to lock in that first seed, lock in that first round bye, but also lock in of having guys feeling good going into October, and this weekend, I feel like you can pinpoint so many moments throughout the weekend. Brandon Marsh's home run on Friday, JT's walk-off single, Nick being Nick. You have moments, obviously Bryce breaking through, that you can point out of like, all right, the offense, which has been my biggest thing I'm watching, is getting back. And it's exciting. It's exciting to see.
It is. And you're getting contributions, by the way, from guys that are almost definitively not going to be on the playoff roster, right? Yeah. Which is hard it's a hard sell. I mean, obviously you want an opportunity to be in the major leagues, and you're going to, whether you're auditioning for a roster spot next year or another team, whatever the case may be, of course you're going to want to go out there and prove something. But it is kind of a difficult sell to a guy to say, hey, listen, we need you to be a contributor today, or we need you to be a contributor this week. You're not going to be on the playoff roster, but this helps. It's a win-win for both of us, because we continue to push towards the overarching goal of a bye, a divisional title, and a bye. And you get the opportunity to play at the major league level and showcase yourself, whether it be for us or for somebody else next year. If they offer you, a standard major league contract or something along those lines. But you got contributions this weekend and over the course of, the last couple of weeks from Cal Stevenson, from Buddy Kennedy. We've talked plenty about how much of a help Jose Ruiz has been to this bullpen in the second half of the season. You signed him to a minor league deal with an invite to spring training. And he ended up making the roster eventually. And
success.
Has been really awesome, especially in the second half of the year. You get guys like that buy into a role and then are able to thrive in a role. It obviously makes your team better, but you now have like a semblance of, we won a game today without player X, or we won a game today without player Y, or pitching wasn't good and you got picked up. Like, Colby Allard wasn't great. Taijuan Walker,
baby.
Yes.
Bolstered you. Cal Stevenson on both sides of the ball. Buddy Kennedy all weekend. These kind of things start to add up. There's a reason as to why they're the first team to 90 wins now.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say, Tyler, that weekend series, I don't know, taking Saturday and Sunday wasn't ordinary. Well, you know where else it's never ordinary? That's with our friends over at Bet365. I took a beating this weekend in the NFL. It was a dog weekend, but with Bet365, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. They have over 90 million users worldwide. They live stream up to 780,000 events a year, and they have the best early payout offers across NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB because they pioneered live in-game betting. Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for those live in-game betting across 78 different sports. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. There is an expiration date on those bonus bets, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for those. But whether it's baseball, basketball, football tonight, Bet365 has the best early payout offers across any gambling platform, because it's never ordinary at Bet365. So if the Eagles, you took them tonight and they were, say, go up like 17 points at some point in the game, you'd get cashed out. Boom, right there on the spot. And keep your eyes peeled. Right on the homepage in Pennsylvania right now, you'll see the PHLY custom parlay boost that we'll be doing weekly. And every day, Bet365 is powering up hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. 10,000 boosts every month. They boost specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. So keep your eye out for that PHLY custom one tonight. It includes Jalen Hurts over Bijan Robinson receiving yards and a Saquon Barkley touchdown again. So some fun times. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up and get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, and while we're talking about some great choices you can make around games, what better choice to make than what you're drinking? A refreshing Miller Lite, because it always tastes like Miller time, guys. That's right. With Miller Lite, you get the opportunity to drink delicious, great beer, light beer that strips away things you don't need, but gives you everything that you do. Great taste, less filling, and it just is very light. Now, for Miller Lights, what I love about the fact that you get to crack open that nice cold Miller Lite is you're not going to deal with all the calories. I cannot stand when I'm drinking a beer, especially out and I'm at a game or something, and I start to have that heavy feeling in my stomach. With Miller Lite, you don't have to worry about that because, as we know, it's both. It's both great taste and light. The original light beer since 1975. And for decades, they've been providing you with everything that you need to have less filling and only 96 calories per Miller Lite can. Undebatable quality and refreshing. It's great to enjoy at any major moments. We're talking about the playoffs coming up. It's almost right October. You want to make sure that you've got all that you need to enjoy the games, the holiday season's around the corner. It's Hallmark season, whatever it is, you guys can enjoy it with some delicious Miller Lite. Now, today, you don't have to choose what's best because Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling, and it always tastes like Miller time. You can even get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. That's right. Visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Fills. And you, of course, can also find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. You can make sure to enjoy your delicious, refreshing beer, but also celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces with fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. All right, so as we're
Miller
talking
Lights
through
tonight, Renee.
I know, I'm excited. I'll be there at the Lynch.
Are you coming?
At the Lynch.
Oh, you're going to the game.
I'm going to game, baby.
Well, look
Put me
at
in.
you.
I use the Game Time app.
Wow.
And
I'm jealous. I'll be at the Uptown Beer Garden in Center City and then doing the post-game show. But enjoy the game. That's going to be a blast down there. The home opener, Monday Night Football, Nick Foles night. Miller Lights are going to be flowing.
Oh, yeah. I know. I cannot wait. All right. With the Phillies, though, because right now it's a great time for Philly sports. We have all the excitement. The Phillies have
It is a good Monday. It's a
solid time. The Phillies are back to being top across the league in a number of offensive categories. Home runs, they're top 10. They're fifth in runs. They're top 4. They're fourth in OPS with .751 offensively. But it's not just the offense. As we know, the backbone of this team that we continue to talk about has been their pitching staff. From the starting pitching all the way through to the bullpen, Taijuan Walker included. As a pitching staff, they have a 3.74 ERA. They are 7th across the league in ERA, 8th in strikeouts. Starters are 5th in Major League Baseball with a 3.68 ERA. The bullpen is 13th with a 3.84 ERA. And starting at the top, we got from this weekend, I'm going to point to first Cristopher Sanchez. Let's go recency bias of Sunday's game. Cristopher Sanchez, who one of those bright spots that have absolutely been emerging. I was reading Todd Zulecki's piece as he was taking us down memory lane of last year when we were still waiting to figure out Game 3 of the NLCS, who was going to be the starting pitcher? Was it going to be Cristopher Sanchez? Was it going to be Taijuan Walker? And it's crazy because here we are, fast forward. This is not even a conversation of who's going to start. Cristopher Sanchez has locked in on that starting role for the playoffs. And he had in his performances Sunday, 7 strikeouts, 6 hits, 1 run into 7+ innings. Again, Phillies starting pitcher goes 7+ innings and 1 walk. And overall now is at a 3.24 ERA with his 29 starts. But as we had talked about before, as he entered Sunday, 4th best among pitchers, tied with Kansas City's Cole Ragans for that 4.6 F-WAR. Cristopher Sanchez is everything. I loved reading JT Realmuto's comments about him, just saying how he's so impressed with Sanchez, how he attacks his strike zone, how his stuff is good, his location, he makes his speeds in well, his fastball that he can get to on righties. Cristopher Sanchez is just one of those, when you look at this season, one of those big factors as to why this team has been so impressively good, because he's been someone that we thought he'd take a step forward, but he's taken like leaps and bounds forward from what he was last year to exceeding expectations this year and continued it on Sunday.
Yeah, he's been absolutely like a godsend to this team this year. He attributed a lot of his success this year to a new diet and workout regimen in the off season and throughout the season. He said he just feels better and stronger and healthier than he has in the past. The F4 numbers, he's second in the NL behind who's going to be the Cy Young winner in Chris Sale. Look, the reality is Aaron Nola is going to start game 2 because he has the trust of Rob Thompson. So it's not like a real issue to actually talk about this. But I think if you polled most Phillies fans, analysts, talking heads, print media, whatever it may be, and we'll ask Jim Salisbury about this tomorrow, if reality wasn't real and Aaron Nola, wasn't going to start game 2, do you kind of feel best if the game's at home, putting Cristopher Sanchez second right now? Now, this isn't going to happen because Rob Thompson doesn't live in that world. He lives in the world where Aaron Nola is getting the ball and there's nothing else to say about it. But Cristopher Sanchez right now, especially at home at Citizens Bank Park, probably has the second most confidence of anybody that watches and follows this team regularly. He's been that good. So, you kind of wish in a way that reality could break and Rob Thompson might think outside the box, but that's not going to happen. So then the debate becomes, is Cristopher Sanchez your game 3 starting pitcher? My dear sweet boy Ranger has a big opportunity this week. And, it's a playoff type atmosphere playing the Milwaukee Brewers this week. So if Ranger goes out there and dazzles and returns and maybe the velocity's up, maybe you feel better about him taking the ball in game 3. But Cristopher Sanchez might have wiggled his way in potentially to be that third playoff game starter if it starts on track with Zach Wheeler taking game 1.
Yeah, these are great problems to have, honestly.
Yeah, he made it a good problem.
Like your number 4 battling for a higher start in the playoffs, and to have 4 guys you can count on come postseason. So it's just remarkable when you look at it. Started back even in June when we started to see Cristopher Sanchez lock in of like, no, this is not a fluke. This is consistent. We saw the contract extension. We saw NL, his all-star appearance, being able to get pitcher of the month. All the things started coming together, and it's been great to see for him. And it's been a trickle-down effect. Kolby Allard became the 4th pitcher for the Phillies to start in the 5 spot in the past 4 rotations. Did struggle, gave up 4 runs in 3 innings, and that's how the Phillies ended up down 4-0. But we also know the 5th starter is not going to be the problem come playoff time. They're going to roll out 4, and that's all they need. It's not going to be an issue with who is the 5th starter, which is how we ended up with Taijuan Walker in the bullpen.
Has he played his way into
the,
I wonder, is he your low leverage kind of like bulk? I mean, Jose Ruiz, you probably feel better about, but like Taijuan's been quietly good out of the bullpen. Yeah. It's really weird.
I know. And I know Rob was talking on Taijuan's performance of coming in to relieve Kolby Allard, giving you 3 good innings. And he might need it's a shame because of, as we know, the contract, but this might be what Taijuan can provide for now, at least short term, until you can figure out what his role is in the future. But for this current moment, as a short-term temporary move, it absolutely is, it's working. You don't need him in a high leverage situation because you have, and the numbers that we're seeing from the big time bullpen arms are insane and remarkable to watch. And I have some of them I'll share with you in a moment. But Taijuan Walker, I was actually kind of happy for him. That
he's been kind of good.
I'm okay with this. I mean, I don't love the fact that he's, contract wise, everybody can complain about the money he's getting.
That's a
paid.
sunk cost at this point.
Yeah, like at this point, it is what it is. I was happy for him to be able to have a moment to feel like he can contribute to the Phillies and help them win games and do something positive versus leaving the mound getting booed. But when you look across the bullpen, you do know you've got plenty of high leverage arms. Jose Alvarado, as we talked about, been looking much better. Now 13 saves on the season, a 3.92 ERA. We know Jeff Hoffman, who leads the team in appearances, also a 1.76 ERA, 10 saves. Carlos Estevez, a 1.93 ERA. Orion Kerkering, a 1.99 ERA. 2.06 for Matt Strom. This bullpen is rounding out so nicely.
By the way, real quick, before we move on, I want to read something because I put it in our Discord channel yesterday about Orion, and he has been ridiculous. He has been awesome. Let me just find it's a side-by-side comparison. Here we go. This is courtesy of Sixers Adam on Twitter. Rookie relievers Orion Kerkering and Mason Miller have both pitched 58 2/3 innings this year. Kerkering, 13 earned runs with a 1.99 ERA, 68 strikeouts, only 14 walks, a 4.85 K to walk ratio, a 1.02 whip, and his slash line with opponents batting against him, 217, 282, 297, only allowed 2 home runs. Now, Mason Miller, who was an all-star and the talk of Major League Baseball because he throws at 104 miles an hour and yada, yada, yada. Well, his numbers, 15 earned runs for a 2.3 ERA, 93 Ks. So he's got a big advantage in the K department. But with that comes, 8 more walks, 22 walks, a 4.2 K to walk ratio. His whip is filthy, a 0.85 whip, and his opponent's slash lines, 153, 228, 238. He has allowed 4 home runs. So Orion Kerkering, when you stack him up next to, one of the big sexy names from this baseball season, he kind of goes toe to toe with him a little bit. I mean, Mason Miller has nastier strikeout stuff, but Orion Kerkering has been absolutely I want to curse real bad there. Friggin' awesome this year. And it's great to see him back. He trusts the fastball. His sweeper is filthy. Orion is huge to this team's chances to win the World Series.
Yeah. And honestly, I keep finding myself going back to what are the areas that we saw as areas of concern, struggles last season in the playoffs, and even the year before that, the last 2 years. What were those things that were factors that the Phillies struggled with? And one of them was their bullpen. And to have Orion,
Craig Kimbrell ain't here no more.
No Craig Kimbrell, a whole new Orion Kerkering, Carlos Estevez. You've got Tanner Banks who can eat innings. You've got Taijuan Walker if he's on the playoff roster that can be an innings eater. We've got options here. And to your point, even back to what you were saying about Cristopher Sanchez, we've got some tactical options. Is the game at home? Is it on the road? Who's going to start? There's some flexibility here.
Well, I think if it's home, Sanchez has to almost. I mean, I don't think Rob's going to do it because Aaron Nola is one of the veterans of that clubhouse, and that stuff is real. But if you have to decide between Cristopher Sanchez at home or Cristopher Sanchez on the road, it would be insane to start him on the road. Maybe Aaron Nola, he seems pretty understanding. Maybe just say, hey, Aaron, Cristopher Sanchez is literally a 4 times better pitcher at home than he is on the road. Can we just give you game 3, bud? It's what's best for the team. I feel like he'd be cool with it.
I mean, if I'm Aaron, I'm fine with that. Whatever it takes to help us win.
It helps the team. Yeah.
And if Aaron, especially you've got a veteran in Aaron that's been, able to have these bigger moments on the road. We can lean into that. Exactly as you mentioned, Cristopher Sanchez has been pitching well. Let's lock into what he's doing best, which is pitching at home. Go for it. I think it's a conversation worth having. And what's the worst that happens? Aaron says, no, I don't want to. I want to pitch at home. Then it's
I doubt
no,
he would.
and he would not do that. He would not do that. So I do feel like there are some discussions that hopefully they're comfortable having, because Cristopher Sanchez at home he's fantastic.
It's a different person,
but a totally different person at home. And come playoff time, you got to lean into what's best. This is not the time to worry about people's feelings and things like that. So I'm hoping that's the case, that they make the right decision and choose Aaron Nola if it's on the road versus Cristopher Sanchez at home. Let's hope that they make those right decisions as well, because it is the fall, and this fall season, as we're talking about playoffs, you also want to make sure you're making the right decisions, guys. Let me tell you about our friends over at Rite Aid. So because of this time of year, we got to deal with fall allergies, and it's annoying to deal with the sniffles, the runny, watery eyes, runny nose, the coughing, the congested nose. And so with Rite Aid, they have all you need to be able to manage your allergies by giving you tips and advice around things such as using a dehumidifier. They also have the Rite Aid rewards emails at riteaid.com/rewards, where you can receive updates on pollen alerts in your area, as well as just some great over-the-counter options for you that are available at your local Rite Aid. A nasal rinse, a decongestant, things that help when your symptoms are flaring up. Rite Aid will provide you with all the allergy relief that you need. They also have great pharmacists that are there on site that can help answer any questions you may have, to guide you in the right direction of medication, the right aisles, whatever it is you're looking for. Rite Aid has the pharmacists and the great personnel on site to help you work through that are educated and trained to provide that insight. Rite Aid also has their LO Market, which provides you with candy, snacks, pantry items exclusively at Rite Aid. They've got their refreshery of refreshing, hydrating drinks. And as we're talking through fall allergies and medications, they even have their pharmacy services, such as their My Pharmacy accounts at Rite Aid, that give you a chance to get mobile updates. You can access and get involved in automated courtesy refills on prescriptions, scheduling vaccines, lots of convenient options for managing your vaccines, medications, personal recommendations, prescriptions, all from your phone. We love convenience. We love being able to have people we trust that are going to provide the support we need. And that is our friends over at Rite Aid. So today, if you need anything, whether it's those last minute birthday gifts, maybe you want to take advantage of their fall, which I love, love, love. As you guys know, their fall line of, they always have the seasonal section, I should say. So now it's fall time. Take advantage of that. Or, of course, their pharmacy items, their over-the-counter medications for allergies. Rite Aid has it all. Visit your local Rite Aid today. You can also check out more details at riteaid.com and get started with Rite Aid, who's got the caring, the great people there to help provide you with all the insight you need around any questions you may have or anything you may be looking for. You can find it conveniently at Rite Aid.
Yeah, and I'm sure the people at Rite Aid are smart enough to know that when you're looking for the best job candidate, there's only one place to go, and that is Indeed. We're driven by the search for better at Indeed. So when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search. Match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. So ditch all that busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed just doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, including according to a recent Indeed survey. I have a cousin that works for a company in HR, and she has used Indeed, and she backs up what they're telling you. It's the best place to find the best candidates. So join over 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show, you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about us on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire? You need Indeed.
All right. You definitely do need Indeed. And you know, guys, what's the exciting thing about all of this is the Phillies defeat the Mets in this series. They have another series victory, which is fantastic to see because the numbers keep climbing. They're now up to 26-1 victory series, of this season. And with that, they knock off the Mets. Unfortunately for the Mets, not only do they lose the series, but they potentially are now watching and could have lost Francisco Lindor, who's dealing with some back pain.
Yeah,
we had talked about Lindor.
Real quick, do you want to see what my buddy said? He's a Mets diehard. He said there is no absolutes in human suffering. That was his text when I texted him. Lindor left the game again.
So he's going
Mets.
Yeah,
they're down bad.
Yeah. I also
you never like to see an MVP candidate go down like that.
That's the thing. You don't want to see injuries happen at all because you want teams to lose at full strength. That's what I always say. And then also I was watching the game Sunday with Mets fans as well, and it was kind of painful and sad to see their misery, but I didn't mind it. Except for Lindor, who is slashing a 271, 342, 494 with 31 home runs and 27 stolen bases, and has played in all but one game for the Mets this season. So they did lose him early in the game, unfortunately for them.
Getting some tests today, I think.
Yeah, he is expected to get some MRIs today. They said they won't know an answer, of course, until that happens today, that he gets that MRI. He had already been dealing with back soreness, but then we had that play Friday night lunging for second base. That helped. That unfortunately triggered it, I should say. So Carlos Mendoza said they are optimistic.
Just be normal and slide there.
I know. It's so weird. But if he's dealing, I don't know. It was a weird play. But Mendoza said they are optimistic that he can return, but we'll see. We will keep an eye on that. All right, so some other things that have been going on around the Phillies that are very exciting is I was reading an article that was listing who won the trade deadline. Now that we've had a chance to see the trade deadline unfold, and they actually had the Phillies listed. It was a Major League Baseball article that they put out. They had the Phillies listed at 7 because of what Carlos Estevez brings with his 1.93 ERA, 16 strikeouts, and 18 2/3 innings. Since being added to the team, he's had 6 saves. And Estevez has been a great pickup. But there might be another pickup in the future for the Phillies. We're talking offseason. And listen, we have been discussing where will this guy possibly go after watching how the New York Yankees have been rolling out. Juan Soto has entered the chat, and Bob Nightingale put out a piece talking about some of the different MLB rumors. He talked about the White Sox, but he also brought up Juan Soto, and he was mentioning in that the Phillies are one of the teams that are listed as someone that is involved or interested or in the conversation for Juan Soto. He listed the New York Yankees, the Mets, the Blue Jays, the Giants, and the Phillies. Bryce Harper, get to work. Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Juan Soto. Can we get a reunion here in Philly? Because in addition to being excited about the playoffs and Red October, guys, this makes me extremely excited because if I'm Juan Soto, it's a no-brainer. I want to be in Philly. Come have fun here. We've got great fans. It's a winning club. They should have a great deep run in the playoffs this season, which only helps to the reason to come here. Juan Soto, my friend, it's time for you to become a Philadelphia Philly.
Yeah, I've already started going through lineups in my head. He can go back to left field. He's done that before in his career. Not an issue there. Juan Soto kind of just dominating baseball this year. I think he has the top on base percentage. I think he's got the batting title locked up. And oh yeah, he just happens to drive in a ton of runs and smash balls too. Do you bat him 1 or does Kyle?
What are we working with here?
Is Kyle feel 1? And then where do you put Trey? Maybe you put Trey in the 5 hole. If you put Soto in the 2 hole, Harper in the 3, maybe you put Soto in the 4 hole. Like I've just been going through that in my head, and then it drops Casty down to like 6 or 7, and you're an all-star team. But before Tyler hops in, if Kevin Long is mentioned as the reason why Juan Soto chooses Philadelphia, make that man a statue, and I'll never listen to another word of bitching from anyone ever again about the Phillies hitting coach.
Jamie,
Don't forget, Tyler, Bryce Harper and Juan Soto attended a PGA event in Arizona together this offseason with Bryce's wife. I'm just saying, best friends.
Don't leave your PlayStation on overnight. It's not good for the system. So
it's happening, Tyler.
That's your first step.
When has Bob Nightingale ever been wrong? When?
All the time. It's okay.
But he's just got our hopes up. Go ahead, Tyler.
I think Juan Soto
would
would
be batting him in the lineup. That's the real question.
He would hit 2 if he were in Philly.
So where's Trey going?
I don't know. Well, I'm not worried about it.
You put Schwarber in the 4 hole, you get Soto batting on the leadoff.
In your bizarro La La Land hypothetical situation, Juan Soto hits 2 on every team.
La La Land.
He hits 2 on every
worth
team.
$5 billion.
I feel like you're not as excited as you should be, Tyler.
Because it's not
Tyler.
Tyler,
don't you pee on my shoulder and tell me.
Bob listed the Phillies as one of 5 landing spots. You're not going to the Blue Jays.
Money.
Why would you go?
He's not going to the Blue Jays.
That's a Blue Jays.
It's down to 4.
Okay, here's the other thing. If you're Juan Soto,
California tax, he's not going there.
No.
So it's down to 3.
And then the Mets are always going to Met. So why would you go there?
Yeah,
and then you've already been with the Yankees, and like K-Red was saying in the chat, come here and grow your facial hair. You don't even have to worry about.
It's down. It's down to us and the Yankees. We win.
We win clearly.
You are really. You're really
Tyler. It's a lock.
Really,
he's already been with the Yankees. He already knows that experience. It's time for something new.
He's going to be a Yankee for the rest of his life.
No.
And quite frankly, if he's not, I think he stays in New York anyway, and he signs with the Mets.
He doesn't want to go to that loser team.
I listen. In every world, on every planet, on every galaxy, and every MCU multiverse, you want Juan Soto on your baseball team, right? There's no
Tyler. Do you remember where he flew last year, leaving the All-Star game? Do you remember whose plane he was on?
Thanks for the reminder, J Flo.
Thanks, J Flo. Do you remember whose plane he was on?
Resident Diamondbacks fan.
You don't think they've been?
The same thing.
Yeah, they're planting seeds. No, they're harvesting the crop. The crop
they already had the relationship too. I mean, these are best buds. You think that Juan, Bryce, we can even call him Wani because they like to slap a Y on people.
Juan Soto and Aaron Judge is the best 1-2 combination in baseball, right? We can agree on that.
Yeah, but do you have nobody else outside of that? They tried
Freddie
to add
Freeman
Jack
and
Chisholm.
Shohei, Mookie and Shohei. You know,
Close.
it's between those.
Yeah,
whatever you want to.
A good poll, by the way.
Bryce, Juan, and Kyle.
Maybe it is close. But the poll of New York and playing at Yankee Stadium, where
Rat City. You're telling me Rat City right now?
He's going to hit 40 home runs, probably. 30 plus home runs for the next 10 years. And he's going to get $500 to $600 million. John
Middleton's got that.
He's not. I hate to burst your. But listen. If I'm wrong, I'll run this back and send it to Cold Takes Exposed. And I hope that I am, because I would love to see Juan Soto in a Phillies uniform. It's just it's not gonna happen.
Well, we know that Dave Dombrowski. Something else that's been cited, as we know, Dave Dombrowski, very, very aggressive when it comes to these deals. We saw and we've heard the reports of being all in on Yamamoto, going all in on past guys. With Juan Soto, you've got to be licking your chops. Like, you have a team that is already top in baseball this season. If you have the ability to add a guy that's top in the league in terms of his 39 home runs, his 101 RBIs, his 981 OPS, which is third in the league, you have an opportunity to add him, split up this Judge Soto short-term marriage, and bring him in, reunite him with his former teammates that when they all played together with the Nationals. I think this is an easy sell. It's also 2024. Like the whole wanting to play with the Yankees, I get it, but we're past that. There are some other clubs around, some other ballparks, some other fan bases, and the Phillies are one of them that are attracting players because they want to play with a passionate, exciting group like the Phillies, not to mention the best team in baseball. So if this was a situation of the Phillies struggling, if we were talking about like how the Blue Jays are, you know, a little different. You have a guaranteed group you step into. You're winning. You're going. I'm putting you on a World Series path for sure. No hesitation. Juan Soto needs to be a Philly.
Are you trying to sell me, or are you trying to sell yourself?
No, I'm selling Juan.
Because it sounds like you guys are trying to like justifiably sell yourself on this deal. That
this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. The Phillies wouldn't have to do another thing.
200 days away from him signing anywhere.
The Phillies would
but he's just going to look really good
in
Phillies pinstripes. I mean, he's just going to look great. It's just, I mean, how do you form that all-star lineup? You know,
I don't disagree with you. Like, I'm not sitting here saying I don't want. That would be the dumbest thing that ever came out of my mouth, sports take or otherwise.
Yes, and Duncan Dad is correct. If Brian Cashman lets Juan Soto leave the Bronx, he is cooked. That fan base will riot.
Let's be honest. The fact this is even a conversation.
Well, it's an extension.
If you're the Yankees, you're not doing your job. You're allowing people to even feel like they have a chance at landing Juan Soto. The Yankees, you have something really special there with Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. Again, they added in a Jazz Chisholm. You have on the pitching side, that's already locked in. There's no reason Juan Soto should even be out here as a possible to move on to another club. So that's what makes me have faith that they're not doing their part. And the Phillies can come in, swoop on in there. Yes.
Let a boy dream, Tyler. Let a boy dream.
I hope you all sleep better tonight because of this.
I mean, John Middleton has endless amounts of money. So, like,
it's not our money.
Look, they were in the Yamamoto sweepstakes. They offered more money than the public or most in the media thought. Sure. No reason to think they're not just going to parlay that into Juan Soto money. Because, look, the reality is you'll have one more year of Kyle Schwarber. You'll have 2 more years of Nick Castellanos. And Taijuan Walker, you're going to pay and just lump sum it and get it over with. But, like, the books do open up a little bit in a year or two. And Juan Soto's the perfect age to pair with Aiden Miller and Andrew Painter. So you just keep the dynasty going. You know, this is easy stuff. Just spend some money.
Yeah, you forget Juan Soto's only 25 years old. This is a move for now and for the future, to your point of, as we talk about the Andrew Painters and Aiden Millers and the excitement of the future, and Alec Boehm, some of the younger emerging talent that we've seen this year and also in the pipeline in the farm system. If I'm Juan Soto, at 25, it's a great long-term investment versus some other clubs, Yankees, Mets. So exciting times, Tyler. I'll let you get your final point in. Then I feel like you.
You guys were talking about, them being in on Yamamoto and all that, and it's true. And I would bet you that the Phillies are probably next offseason in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes as well. He's 23 years old, power arm. They're going to be in his, assuming
people think he's better than Yamamoto for those.
Right. Assuming he does post, because apparently there's rumors that he's thinking about maybe one more year in Japan before he does. I think he's only 23, so it's not like it's a rush of time for him. He's not 32 or anything like that. They're going to be in that sweepstakes as well. The Phillies are going to be in every high market sweepstakes because of everything you guys laid out. I'm not saying they're not going to be in that conversation at all. I'm just saying
best friends are here.
Extremely unlikely that's the case.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but don't pee on my shoulder. It's gonna happen. We gotta positive think it into actuality. That's all.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with at least
I'll buy you any beer you want. if he signs in Philly, any beer you want.
All right. I'm going to
Amy,
find the
better
world's
get
most
that ready.
expensive beer. What is that?
Yeah.
World's most
What's the
expensive
snake
beer.
poison? It's like 67%. I'll buy you that.
Oh, there's a. Oh, no. That's just straight up Pappy. I wonder what the
Mm.
most expensive beer it is.
Well, there's a lot to keep an eye on.
Arctic Ale by ALLCITY sold for $503,300, Tyler.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we're not buying you that one.
Wait, like, I love that he says he's going to buy you any beer and you go for the most expensive one. That's hilarious.
I'll buy you
Classic.
one
What a
in the
great
Miller
friend.
Lite.
Juan
Not only
Soto
you
could
guys-
afford that beer.
Not only are you guys twinning, wearing basically the same outfit today. Also, there's
Well,
this
one's a
is cute.
t-shirt,
This is
one's a
fun.
quarter zip. Very different. They're
Yeah,
just
but
red.
it's like it's the same color. All right, twins. So let's move along though and get into the series that is coming up for the Phillies because they are facing off against the Brewers. As we know, lots at stake here. So after this past weekend, you get Alec Bohm back. You get a great pitching performance of Cristopher Sanchez. Taijuan Walker has a good role in the bullpen. Bryce Harper breaks through with his 2 home runs. All the excitement, JT Realmuto with a walk-off single, and Buddy Kennedy and Cal Stevenson. And now it's time to face the Brewers. Another chance in a huge series. The Phillies can lock in and get that one big step, I should say, out the way of the NL East this week. That can happen. The magic number is 5 for that. As you know, it's 11 for the top spot for the NL. So this week, another opportunity as you go up against the Brewers, who all the Phillies have to do is win one of the games in the series to take the season series against the Brewers after sweeping them back in June. And now they get a chance to go up against Milwaukee, who had a down to the wire. J-Flo, I'm sure you were yelling at your screen yesterday watching the 11-10 walk-off win by the Diamondbacks. Eugenio Suarez hits a walk-off single for the win over the Brewers in that series. Came down to the wire. Was an exciting one, but now the Brewers get to run into the lovely Phillies. Really quickly, though, on the injury front, before we actually talk specifically about the series, I know there was mention of Austin Hayes in the chat as he's dealing with his kidney infection. They're saying still unclear if he's going to be back before the end of the regular season, but there is still the possibility he could be on the playoff roster. The concern is, of course, now they're trying to make sure the antibiotics, as Rob Thompson was mentioning, are all out of his system and that he's getting back to feeling better because he's still dealing with some fatigue, some heavy legs, and he's got to get back to full strength. And he also has possibly lost a little bit of weight. So Austin Hayes has been working through that kidney infection, which is very concerning, especially given the timeline of the regular season. Now, Lehigh Valley's final regular season game is September 22nd. So not a lot of time for Austin Hayes to even get a rehab assignment in quickly since it's already September 16th.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know what you do here. I don't think you can. I mean, they'd have to get a couple, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 games under his belt before the playoffs, I would think, before you feel comfortable. Going to be interesting to see what happens there, if he makes the roster or not. Maybe it's one where he can miss the first series, rejoin in the, but then there's no minor league games to play, so he'd just be doing simulated games. I don't know what they're going to do with Austin Hayes. That will be an interesting one to see.
Yeah, like you said,
especially with Weston Wilson and Cody, like Tyler, these guys have kind of earned spots to play.
Cody Clemens,
or at least contribute.
He's earned Cody Clemens has earned a playoff roster spot to me. I think it does come down to Weston Wilson in this regard. Because like we said, I don't think Buddy Kennedy's on the roster. I don't think Cal Stevenson's on the roster. It does probably come down to Weston Wilson. It's really, really difficult, like you guys said, the fact that the minor league season ends when it does. Because simulated games are great. They're a really good tool to get you back into game shape, but they don't. They are exactly what they say. They're simulations, right? You don't get. You're getting specific scenarios, thrust upon you in. Okay, first and second, 2 outs, ball hit into the gap. Let's go do it, right? You kind of know what the scenario is in your head. It's a lot more. It's a lot more difficult and different when you are in the moment, and ball gets hit into the gap, and and the exact same scenario plays out. Getting at bats in a real game and getting at bats in a simulation are not entirely equal. So it's going to be an interesting scenario. I think based on the fact that they went and acquired the guy, they'll probably do everything they can to put him on the playoff roster. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the correct answer is just yet.
It's probably going to be
when he gets back.
Yeah.
Like if you're choosing between Hayes and Wilson, and Hayes hasn't played in a month, and he's lost weight and all that. Like, you just got to go with Weston Wilson.
And we've all dealt with whether it's personal or somebody near us, like a major infection that has you on antibiotics and a lot of bed rest and things like that. It's a lot to work out of to get back to full strength. So I know in the chat you guys are talking about got to have Cody. Weston Wilson deserves it. Weston Wilson, Cody Clemens too, that absolutely are showing they can not only be utility pieces, but are showing that they can be on the playoff roster. And I agree. They step up. They make big plays happen. All right, so as we wrap up, though, let's get in the pitching matchup because today does mark the start of the series against the Brewers, and we've got some great opportunities, starting with Ranger Suarez tonight on the mound with a 3.05 ERA, 12-6 on the season, going up against Aaron Savali, who's got a 4.57 ERA and a 6.8 record.
Ranger.
And for Ranger, huge opportunity as he has been, as we know, struggling. He's been having a great year and career highs in innings and everything, but as of late, coming off the injury, we have to see Ranger Suarez getting back to the Ranger Suarez, getting deeper in games, being steady, minimizing the damage. On Tuesday, it is Zach Wheeler with a 2.60 ERA going up against Frankie Montas. Wheeler with a nice record of 15-6. Frankie with a 7-10 record, a 4.49 ERA. And that also is the day that we could potentially see Edmundo Sosa return back from his back spasms on the 17th. That's projected. And then game 3 is Aaron Nola taking the mound with his 12.8 record, a 3.62 ERA, going up against Freddie Peralta, 11-8 with a 3.75 ERA on Wednesday. We've got 6:40 starts all week, or all series, I should say. And it's a huge matchup, guys. As we wrap up, quickly, your thoughts on this big chance for Ranger Suarez specifically. Obviously, for the Phillies in terms of playoff locking in for the NL East, locking in for the top of the NL. A lot here at stake for this team in this series.
Yeah, the bottom line 30,000-foot view is you really only need just one of these three to get the tiebreaker over the Brewers. So as long as that happens, you'll at least be set there. If it comes down to, let's say the Dodgers plummet and the Brewers are in for the 1 or 2 seed, or for possibly the 2 or 3 in the bye. So you just got to take one. But I think more importantly, it's kind of about Ranger. You have the pitching advantage in every game. You need to see something from Ranger. Otherwise, he could be, maybe a game 4 starter, maybe a bullpen piece in the bigger series, TBD there. But you need to see Ranger look like a little bit more like Ranger.
Well, and when you guys were just talking about it too, we were talking about it with the Mets. Like when you have a direct matchup with the team that is behind you in the standings, every win is not just 1 off the magic number; it's 2. In the case of the Phillies, in the case of the Phillies and the Brewers, for them, those 2 specifically, right? To think about tiebreakers and things like that, a win is actually almost like, it's not numerically, but it almost is like a 3 on the magic number as opposed to a 2, right? Because you get the win, the Brewers get the loss, and you get the tiebreaker, which would force the Brewers to then be would force the Brewers to truly be an extra game ahead of you in order for them to surpass you. So it's kind of almost like a 3, the first win you run off. So if you find a way to win, 2 in this series, you've really put yourself in a driver's seat. But you get 1. And, because you got a tough 7-game stretch coming up. The next 3 against the Brewers are going to be tough. And then you got 4 against the Mets again. So you go 4-3 in those 7 games, and you've put yourself in basically in control. Well, you would effectively
in the driver's seat.
You've won the division basically at that point. And you really are looking at least being the 2 seed from there on out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it gets started. It's 6:40 Central Time. My apologies. 7:40 Eastern Time.
Yeah, stupid
Suarez,
time zones.
I know, thinking time zones. You've got Ranger Suarez, as we mentioned. He's got a 5.30 ERA over his last 7 starts around his IL stint. But since returning back in this past 4 starts, allowed 9 runs over 19 1/3 innings with a 4.19 ERA and 18 strikeouts. Huge opportunity for Ranger Suarez today on the mound. Huge opportunity for the Phillies as we talk about what the playoff picture looks like. And so it all gets started tonight. 7:40, Aaron Nola, game 3, Zach Wheeler, game 2, Ranger Suarez, game 1. Great 1, 2, 3 for the Phillies. And that'll do it for us here. As we are looking ahead, we will have
a
great week of Phillies baseball. We've got our back at 11. What's tomorrow? Tuesday. 11 a.m. tomorrow that will be back live to recap.
Jim Salisbury will be on at 11:30.
Salisbury will be joining us. We've got another guest potentially joining us later this week as we are getting closer and closer to Red October. So for Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another edition of PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365. Whether you're a Diamondback fan like Jay Flo or one of our Phillies regulars, Frankie, John Peace, or a Dodgers fan like BC, we appreciate all of you for tuning in. Have a good rest of your Monday. Let's go Phils. Beat the Brewers. Ranger Suarez start us off on a good note for the series to win the series opener. And we'll recap it all tomorrow. See you guys next time.
We all silly like the man.